This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Welcome to the W, where elite athletes are redefining the game of basketball. From buzzer-beating shots, jaw-dropping defense, and logo threes, the WNBA delivers nonstop action and world-class talent every game. These athletes don't just play the game, they elevate it. The biggest stars, the brightest stage. AT&T WNBA All-Star 2025 comes to Indianapolis July 18th through 19th. Tune into the game July 19th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
A treasure trove of bananas has been stolen, and it's up to Donkey Kong and his buddy Pauline to get them back. This unlikely duo is going on a world-smashing adventure, using DK's destructive abilities to explore an underground world, and the power of Pauline singing to activate wild transformations. Donkey Kong Bonanza, available July 17th. Rated everyone 10 and up. Only on Nintendo Switch 2. Game and system sold separately.
Good morning, one and all. It's Friday, which means it's the Friday football feast. Whether PA is here or not, it's Friday, it's the law, it's the feast. Or as Brett Blakemore likes to call it when I'm sitting in this chair, it's the Friday football East, which is brilliant. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. I think it's safe to say the only shot I ever get at hosting the feast is at the absolute deadest possible time on the NFL calendar, the middle of July. But I'll take it because we can always find things to talk about when it comes to the National Football League, and we'll do that. Not like it's not going to be 3 hours solid football, but it's the feast. So I have to pay homage, and we will talk plenty of NFL somehow, some way. I should introduce myself. My name's Dave Senecan, a.k.a. the Head Cheese, or as the host of this program likes to call me, the Sultan of Smug. I don't know if that's fair anymore that we don't have Favre Rodgers, but it's a label. I'll take it. I'll live with it. I'm proud. I should really start the show with Sultans of Swing just to kind of play along with the bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big Dire Straits guy. Welcome back from vacation. Missed you. Hope all was well.
Yeah. It's great.
It's been a little bit, but we haven't had a chance to chat too much.
Yeah, it's weird having a Saturday without catching up in some form or fashion. Yeah, it was fun. Fireworks. There was some Braves games involved.
Of course there were.
There's a lot breaking 90, which is good for me on the golf course. So
was it steamy in Atlanta?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're instantly drenched the second you walk outside.
That's just not my style. I can't deal with that. Well, very good. Welcome back. Good to hang with you for the next few hours. I don't know where PA is or Nordo today, but happy to be sitting in this chair. I was listening to some of the Power Trip. You know, just seeing the photos of a packed room at 5:30 a.m. in Detroit Lakes is something that you just shake your heads and go, man, the rubes that follow this station are unbelievable. That 5:30 in the morning. I understand they don't get up to Detroit Lakes very often, but I know they make it an annual stop, and everybody represented very well, including the Rube, who was right there at the end of the Initials game, which, by the way, I'm glad they've never invited me to play. I am hideous at that game. And what bothers me more is just knowing how much Sauce would just wipe the floor with me. It's like the only thing I think he could probably beat me at. But it's impressive. No fun, no game. We'll have fun. No games on this show over the next 3 hours, but we do have a star-studded, jam-packed guest list who will all take part of this program and join us throughout the day. Let me lay it out for you. Beginning at about 9:35, Dane Mizutani, Pioneer Press, TwinCities.com, covering the Vikes and the Twins. We'll catch up with Dane a little bit on both of those squads at the bottom of the hour. 10 o'clock, what would a feast be without Charch? Checking in from his new digs in Utah. Catch up with Charch, see how life's treating him. out west. What's it been, about a few weeks since he's been out there? Something like that,
yeah.
Haven't
Beautiful
chatted with
spot.
him. Looks lovely.
Yeah.
Big time move for him. So we'll catch up with Charge Talk, some NFL, most particularly NFC North, maybe a little fantasy talk as well, as we're inching closer and closer to that time of year. It's crazy because it's so dead right now. And 15 days from now, the Vikings will break camp and it'll all start. And it's like flipping a switch. Suddenly, you were saying to me as I saw you this morning, like,
oh my God, I can't wait.
You're so ready for football. And
I'm watching Matthew Golden highlight reels and breakdowns of all 22s of why he's a great fit and exactly what the Packers need. Oh my God, I just cannot wait for football, which sucks because I don't want to wish away golf.
Or
I don't want to wish away summer.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to wish for snow. But man, am I ready for football.
Yeah,
I want it now.
It can't come soon enough. I'm starting to watch Quarterback on Netflix.
I just finished it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's how much I'm locked in.
Well,
I finished the whole thing.
When you were saying that, that's what I thought too, because I'm in episode 3. I think I fell asleep middle of episode 3 watching it last night. That does get you so ready for football.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't real enthused about the lineup this year of quarterbacks. I remember last year they couldn't find a quarterback to do it. So this year they go back
with Mariota. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't want Mariota again. They go back to the well with Kirk Cousins. You got Jared Goff, and you got Joe Burrow, who I was definitely interested to get to know a little bit better. Doesn't matter who they have. It's fascinating stuff. And for me, so far, 2.5 episodes in, as long as Jared Goff's wife's on the program, I'm paying attention. She's rather fetching, and they're definitely making her a focal point of the program, and for obvious reasons. But yeah, if you want to get into football and get ready for it, they do a really good job. So I've been watching that. So anyway, Charge will join about an hour from now, 10 o'clock. 10:35, going off the board a little bit, leaving the sports section for a segment. Ross Rayala of the Pioneer Press, TwinCities.com, covers movies and music for that news. I'm kind of heavy on the St. Paul paper today with a couple of guests. Ross will join because Superman opens today. It's the big hit of the summer. At least that's what everybody's hoping. The big blockbuster of the summer. It opens today. It's gotten very good reviews. I know Ross liked it. Thoughts from him on Superman, on maybe Jurassic World, some of the big movies coming out this summer, as well as the just announced Paul McCartney concert coming to our fine city this fall. Any other music notes? Little pop culture with Ross Rayala of the Pioneer Press, TwinCities.com. That is at 10:35, and then in the 11 o'clock hour, about 11:15 or so, Johnny Athletic, John Krasinski joins Wolves Summer League. He's in Vegas with the Wolves, who opened up play last night, and I already can't wait for Wolves season to start. After watching one Summer League game, I'm all in on Joan Berger. I can't get enough of him. I want to watch him again. I DVR'd the game. I'm going to watch the first possession one more time or 15 more times. What a fun debut for the big Frenchman. Did you catch any of it? I'm guessing that wasn't. Yeah, I didn't think so. 2:30 in the afternoon, not an ideal time unless you work from home and do your own thing, as I do. My son Jackson and I were focused in on the game. We watched it wire to wire. Didn't miss a second. In fact, the dog had to go out for a walk. I had Jackson take the dog for a walk. I paused the game. I might be the first person in the history of organized civilization to pause a summer league basketball game so as not to miss any of it. First possession, defensive possession for the Wolves. The rookie, 18-year-old Frenchman blocks not one, but 2 shots. Very first possession as an NBA player. He ended up with 5 blocks in the first half. His stat line in the first half. Look, it's summer league. I get that. You're not playing mostly against NBA players, blah, blah, blah. It just so happens that the Pelicans, the Wolves' opponent, was starting Misi, the second-year player, who was a second-team all-rookie player, center. So that's who Berger was defending, a second-team all-rookie player for the Pelicans. So that wasn't just some, hanger-on, playing summer league ball, never going to get a sniff. Now, this kid's a starting center for the Pelicans, and Berger really showed his defensive chops early. Here's his stat line in the first half. 11 points on 5 for 5 from the floor, 4 rebounds, and 5 blocks. He ended up with 7 blocks for the game in 23 minutes. Not a bad start for the 18-year-old who 4 years ago didn't know what a basketball was and only quit playing soccer because they couldn't find cleats his size anymore. And they said, man, you're getting kind of tall. Maybe you should give this basketball thing a try. He just shows, well, he's obviously very athletic. He's very quick. He gets up in the air so fast, and he recovers so quickly. He's just got those athletic traits that, not everybody possesses. Lot to learn, long way to go, probably won't even contribute this year. I get all that. But if you were excited to see what this young Frenchman might be able to do in his first game as a pro, you got all you wanted and more. It was kind of an uneven effort. This is a Wolves team that, if they let the main guys play, should dominate Summer League. You've got the 3 guys you all hope will take a major step up with the opportunity, with Alexander Walker gone, Shannon, Dillingham, Clark. They're all playing. And to a degree, they were all successful and not so successful. I thought Rob was the most up and down. 7 turnovers, 6 assists. He didn't shoot well, did make half of his threes. Tries to make the hero play a little too often. And again, first game for everybody. They're all a little nervous. They're all excited. But it was a fun first performance for your Wolves, who won the game, by the way. I think I wrote the score down. I think it was I think they won by 4, 5, 6, whatever. They won the game. And the first one's in the books. And I can't wait to watch how Berenger follows that up. That was fun. Twins lose. They do not sweep the Cubs. They lose 8-1. The phenom for the Cubs is Pete Crow Armstrong kid. Hit 2 home runs. Chris Paddock gets shelled, 11 hits, 6 earned runs. Still a successful set against the Cubs. How about tonight's pitching matchup? I actually found myself watching a baseball game earlier this week, something I don't do very often, to be honest. But I'm fascinated by the Brewers rookie, this Mizutani kid. And he's up against Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers. And first batter Mizutani faces is Ohtani, who takes him deep. And he settles down, strikes out 12 over 6 innings, strikes out Ohtani. I like good pitchers matchups, and that was a fun one as the Brewer rookie outdueled Clayton Kershaw. Tonight at Target Field, Paul Skeens against Joe Ryan. To me, that's appointment viewing. I will be watching, and not just because I have In the Zone tomorrow morning, and in the middle of July when the summer abyss is in full bloom, Twins baseball with a pitching matchup like that will be front and center. But yeah, that's fun. Skeens against Joe Ryan, a couple of all-stars going at it at Target Field tonight. And the other performance last night, the Lynx get back up into the winning column with a 9-point win over the Sparks. Coming off the loss on Wednesday, the Lynx bounced back. And I think Natisha Heidemann did it for us. She knew that 2 Packer guys are going to be in this morning. The Green Bay native, Natisha Heidemann, with 18 points to lead the Lynx, and comes in when the Lynx are floundering early, down 11 early in the first quarter. What is wrong with the Lynx? They lost. Now they're about to lose again. Here comes the bench. They go on a 24-8 run and end up winning rather handily. The bench scored 30 points in the first half. So Cheryl Reeve goes to the bench and says, yeah, we need a spark against the Sparks. And Heidemann and company do just that as the Lynx rebound and win that game 91-82. So that's kind of where we're at today. 4 guests throughout the program, lots of NFL conversation, and I certainly welcome your input. Got a question to throw out when we come back regarding your purple. I'll tease it right now. In fact, I'll throw it out there now because I'd love callbacks on this. If you're up for it, you know how to do that. Go to the iHeart app. It's free, by the way. Click on the microphone. You got 30 seconds to give your take. I'd love to play some talkbacks. Or is it talkback or callback? It's
Talkback.
Talkback.
Yes.
Thank you. We don't take a lot of those in the zone. Here's the question. You're all excited about the purple. We understand there's a question mark at quarterback, but otherwise the roster seems pretty set. If you could drop any former Viking in his prime onto this year's roster in any era, who would you pick? Lots of options. You want to think need. You want to think just brilliance. There's so many ways you can go. Would love talkbacks on that. iHeart app, click the microphone, give your take. Also, We'll take a text, always, Bradshaw and Brian, KFAN text line 64686. I couldn't do this with Packer fans because there's only one answer. But for Viking fans, I think there's a lot of ways you can go. What former Viking would you love to drop onto this year's roster to make it sing, to make it hum? We'll chat about that when we get back. Just getting rolling. It's the Friday Football East on the Fan.
Now. Bonus Box is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. In fact, the keyword for this hour is check. The keyword check, KFAN.com, keyword check. To enter the keywords, learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Box is presented by BigDeck.com.
It's the Friday Football East on the Fan. Sinekin in for PA today. Brett Blakemore by my side with you till noon. As usual, they call it 9 to noon for a reason. Football heavy today, even though it is the absolute deadest time on the NFL sports calendar. But, you know, we can always find things to chat about. We'll do that with Charge. We'll do that with Dane Mizutani in the next segment. Charge coming up top of the hour. We'll weave NFL throughout the program. There's plenty of talkers we can come up with as we get set for what should be a wild and crazy NFC North, where you could make a case. You could probably make a case for all four. It would be a stretch for the Bears, obviously, but you can certainly make a case that the new guys running the offense and defense at Chicago are going to finally bring that team up to competitiveness, to respectability. Maybe they're already there, but maybe even more than that. And obviously the other three teams all have reasons to believe they can win the North. I'm of the opinion that the Lions take a step back this year. I think this is the year Detroit does not win the North, and it's going to come down to the purple and the pack. Mainly, and the obvious one is Ben Johnson's gone, Aaron Glenn is gone. They lost their 2 coordinators, and you just can't expect 2 replacements to come in for those really impressive leaders and them not missing a beat. And then if you dig a little deeper, you know, what makes that offense hum is the really solid offensive line play, and they lost 2 key pieces to the interior of that line. Chan's Frank Ragnow retires, Kevin Zeitler moves on, and I don't know that that O-line's going to function at quite the same efficiency, which Jared Goff, I think, frankly, needs. And if he's not quite as comfortable, I don't think Detroit's going to be quite as much a juggernaut as they have been to this point. So we'll talk a lot about the NFC North because it just looks like a fascinating division with basically every team, I think, every fan base excited about the possibilities. And that's what July and August are for NFL fans. It's all about the hope. And I think all 4 fan bases have a lot of hope. I'm already regretting my question a little bit the way I posed it. Here's what I mean. So going into break, I said, if you could drop any former Viking in his prime onto this year's roster, who would you pick? I should have said, I'm not taking it back. Those are the rules. We're going to stick with it. But I should have said, in his prime as a Viking player, because we're getting a bunch of Brett Favre's. And yeah, right. I mean, if you have Brett Favre circa 1997, sure. But would you want Brett Favre circa 2009? But that's what I said. So I'll allow it.
That was going to be my answer for the purple.
Brett Favre?
2009 Favre, because...
Oh, really? Even 09 Favre?
Yeah, well, he had a pretty good run that year.
Throw across your body, middle of the field in the biggest moment of the season, Favre.
But, I mean, think about all the weapons that they have, though, with J.J. and Addison and Hawkinson, and we can go down the list, and we've got a good running game with Aaron Jones and Mason. So I think the only thing... And, again, this is not J.J. McCarthy slander, because we have no idea who he is. Seems like a great dude. But if they had a quarterback that could really sling it, which sounds like they do with JJ, it'd be really good.
We don't know, obviously.
We don't know either which way, but that was the first name that jumped out to me, is like, with all the weapons they have offensively, if they had someone who's sling it, that's what I would go with. I thought that was the obvious answer.
Well, so if I did tweak it just for this moment and say, you know, if you're picking a former Viking quarterback who is, you know, playing as a Viking, like in his prime. In other words, Fran Tarkenton. Like, yeah. Again, this is way before your time. And we do have...
Tarkington?
We do have several votes already for Fran. Carl from Minneapolis, the answer seems it has to be Hall of Fame Tarkenton. Nothing against McCarthy, but the big question for the team is still quarterback. Hall of Fame versus untested essential rookie. Fran and the quarterback whisperer making sweet music together. The question answers itself. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. Favre in his prime, of course, that's the obvious answer. But we're getting plenty of non-quarterback nominations as well. First one I got was Joey Browner, which I thought, wow, that's not an obvious answer, but it goes in my direction, which is like, what does this team need? And, secondary to me is still a big question mark. I know that a lot of people are excited about the corners, but I think there's a lot of question marks after Byron Murphy. We'll see. A couple, at least two I've seen right off the bat went with my pick. My pick off the top of my head was Antoine Winfield. I just thought that was the obvious. Again, I'm all about the secondary. You've firmed that up, and that defense should do just what Brian Flores wants it to do, but he has to rely on those corners, and I think Antoine Winfield would make things. You're holding your hand up like what do you got?
Well, I just wanted to say that we are your talkback leader.
Yes, we are.
And we love taking your talkbacks, and I've got a couple.
We don't do it enough. We should do it more.
I think we should. Let's go here.
Hey guys, Max from Egan here. The person I'd want on this team is simple, Randy Moss. Ever heard of him? Justin Jefferson and Randy Moss. I don't care if JJ is a terrible quarterback. I could throw the ball to them. It would make everything easy, and the defense wouldn't know what to do. Can't guard both of them. Yeah, simple answer, I think.
Hard to argue.
Someone had to say it.
Right. It's the obvious answer because you're saying arguably the best receiver in football history that wasn't named Don Hudson. So you put him on the other side of the field, and the benefit is you get to watch Randy Moss again. That's the side thing. It's like win, lose, we want to win, but just seeing 84 in purple again, you get that going for you. So I would never say no to that. Go ahead and try to beat this team with Jefferson and Moss. Of course, the Packer cornerback group would have no issue with them. They handle that all day long. A lot of votes early for Adrian Peterson.
Well, he's going to be busy. Did you see the news?
I did.
On him?
It's funny. I just did a screenshot of that during the break. Adrian Peterson in the news once again. In this instance, he's going back to the ring because his first attempt at boxing went so well. Actually, it did not go so well. He was knocked out by Le'Veon Bell early and quickly. But this time he's going up against, it's a celebrity boxing match, which, look, you hate to see Adrian Peterson doing this, right? That he has to make money. He's obviously got lots of issues in his personal life, and a lot of that's financially based, so he's signing up for things like a celebrity boxing match. In this case, his opponent is not a fellow former running back, however, like Le'Veon Bell. Adrian's going up against a guy who he got into a fist fight over a poker game with, a guy named Joe Castaneda. This is according to TMZ.com. It's like, hey, take it into the ring, guys. Like, we want to watch this. So, yeah, Adrian's going to be a bit busy. He does not have time to join the 2025 Vikings. That's for sure. I mentioned, as I threw this out at the end of last segment, that from my perspective, doing this to Packer fans would be a waste of time. There's only one answer. Mm-hmm. For a former Packer who would be plopped onto this year's roster. And the obvious answer is not Don Hudson, the greatest wide receiver of the first, 50 years of the NFL. Look, you put, a white receiver from the 30s into the 2025 NFL, I'm guessing he's not going to dominate. Maybe I'm wrong. He was Jerry Rice before Jerry Rice. But no, I wouldn't go there. It's easy to say find a great receiver. We don't have the cachet of Vikings guys like Moss and Carter to throw out there, but Sterling Sharp, James Lofton, you could find some really nice players. But no, for
Donald
me,
Driver had his day.
He did, as did Jordy. Greg Jennings, had a cup of coffee here after his time in Green Bay. No, for me, it's obviously Reggie White. Mm-hmm. It's the obvious need for Green Bay as a dominant pass rusher. That's what's going to make Jeff Hafley's defense move. They're really hoping Lucas Van Ness in his third year can step finally into that role. They don't have a guy. You put Reggie White on this year's Packers team, I don't think there's another answer. That would make a lot of sense.
And there is your dagger!
That's pretty much it. A lot of Antoine Winfield love, little Corey Chavis love. The first direction, I finally see one, the first name that had come to my head when I thought about this yesterday was Randall McDaniel. Look, yes, the Vikings think they have addressed the interior offensive line by signing a couple of former Colts who have been very good players. Injury prone a little bit at this point in their careers, but very good players. And if they can stay healthy, they should be a big step up from a year before. But you throw a big 64 in the middle of that offensive line again, JJ is going to be a very happy quarterback. You could go Steve Hutchinson too, but McDaniel was the first guy I thought of. Solomon Blainwrights, never saw him play, but give me Alan Page. Was an MVP and was a menace on special teams blocking kicks. I don't remember that about Alan Page, that he was a guy that was very good at blocking kicks. I'll have to look that up. Paul Krause got a couple votes along the way here. A lot of Antoine Winfield love, and Johnny Randall is probably might have the most votes I've seen so far. Chris and Ramsey writes, the quarterback whisperer doesn't need a Hall of Fame quarterback. I've taken prime John Randall. Pressure off the edge, pressure up the middle, shores up the D, takes stress off the cornerbacks. Randall is my all-time favorite Viking, by the way.
Well, here's another quarterback that Todd has thrown in. Maybe.
Hey, guys. Todd from West Fargo. I'd really like to see Dante Culpepper in his prime. 49 touchdowns one year. I mean, he'd be lighting up every team pretty much every week. It'd be Randall Cunningham, Randy Moss all over again, I think. Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah, that's a good one. When I knew he was going quarterback, that was not the quarterback in my head that I thought he was going with. I thought he was going Warren Moon, who you probably don't remember. And I don't think Moon was in his prime as a Viking necessarily. But, man, I loved Warren Moon, and he had some just incredibly productive years. And he was good in the purple. And, you know, Culpepper, Moon, I could see both of those. Now, again, that's still probably taking a backseat to Brett Favre if you're taking him in his prime. But, yeah, I was curious to know how many guys would go quarterback because that's the obvious huge question mark. But if you do believe in O'Connell and the coaches there on that side of the ball and all the talent around McCarthy, you might think, no, I'll roll the dice. Give me a lineman. Give me a defender. I'd much rather go in that direction. All right, that was fun. I appreciate that. We'll continue to monitor those. We'll take callbacks on those when we are not talking to guests. We have a couple of guests the next couple of segments. Beginning up next, we head to TwinCities.com, Pioneer Press. Dane Mizutani joins, talk some Twins, talk some Vikings. We'll catch up with him in this middle of July Friday on what we like to call the Friday Football East.
Man.
Chime in what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows. You can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Just let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That is 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
All right, we're back 9:37 on a Friday morning. It's the Friday Football Feast, a.k.a. East, when Seneca's in for PA. Seneca and Blakemore with you until noon today. Very happy to welcome our first guest on this Friday morning. Dane Mizutani covers the Vikes, covers the Twins at TwinCities.com, the Pioneer Press, and we will check in with him in the middle of summer. Dane, how we doing, my man?
I'm good. How you doing?
All's well. Appreciate you giving us some time. You know, a lot of guys who cover the Vikings beat kind of get July off, but you're covering the Twins. There's no rest for the weary for you, is there?
I think that's just called not being able to sit still. My bosses encouraged me to go away, and I just said, hey, I'm bored at home, nothing to do. So I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, grew up a Cubs fan, so figured why not go out to Target Field, watch PCA. And he hit 2 home runs yesterday after starting the series 0-for-8. So it was worth it.
Yeah, that kid's quite a story. He kind of sort of came out of nowhere. I mean, nobody really expected Crow Armstrong to be the all-star that he's become so quickly, have they?
No, I don't think so. I think he always came with some hype. He came into the Cubs system through a trade, Javi Baez to the Mets. Pete Crow Armstrong was the centerpiece of that deal. But he struck out a ton early in his career, and I think people thought he was just going to kind of be an all-or-nothing guy. He's developed into one of the best center fielders in baseball already, and now he's hitting for power. And I've been searching for the good days, ever since that World Series run. I think that was supposed to be a dynasty. It wasn't. So now we're on the hunt for another World Series.
Did you grow up going to Wrigley quite a bit as a kid?
I did, yeah. So there's some nostalgia there. Like I said, suburbs of Chicago, so I can't claim Chicago, but I can claim Wrigley. I've probably been to, well over 20 games there. Just, it's a great place to be, especially in the summer.
I agree. I lived about a mile from Wrigley for a few years in the early 90s, right, on Sheffield. It was a straight mile walk up on Sheffield. And, that was the early 90s, and it was still kind of that quaint, right in the middle of a neighborhood, Lambeau Field type vibe. I haven't been to Wrigley in a number of years. I know everything changes. Does it still, for you, have that same, urban feel like it had back then?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, there's some nostalgia attached to Wrigley just because of what it is, but it's not that quaint stadium in the middle of a neighborhood anymore.
Yeah.
We went last year with some buddies from back home. We're all scattered about the country now, but we try to get back to Chicago at least once every few years. And they've developed the heck out of that place. So there's a big hotel across the street from the Marquee now, an entire new district of bars. You still have the Cubby Bear, the dives on one end, but it's turned into quite the ordeal over there. So I'm sure they're rolling in the business pretty well, but it does take away from the vibe just a tad.
Yeah, it's sort of similar to what Green Bay's done with the Titletown district. It still feels like, you're in the middle of a neighborhood, but not quite like it used to with that giant development on one side. Will you be I know your beloved Cubbies are gone. Will you be at Target Field to watch the primo pitching matchup tonight?
I won't be there tonight. I think we have Jess Myers, our wild writer, pinch hitting for us. I think Betsy Helfand's out of town. So he will get the honor and the pleasure of watching Paul Skeens versus Joe Ryan. Really cool that both guys were able to get moved up. I think originally this was supposed to happen on Saturday, but then I think the Pirates moved up Skeens so he could start in the All-Star game, and then Joe Ryan recently named an All-Star. He gets bumped back a day so he can be available in the All-Star game. And it sets up, instead of a Saturday matchup, a Friday night matchup between Paul Skeens, who, even though the Pirates stink, might be the best pitcher in baseball, and Joe Ryan, who might be one of the best pitchers in baseball the way he's thrown the ball this year. So it'll be pretty cool tonight at Target Field. And then if you stick around, I heard there's a Nelly concert going on after the game closes.
Very nice. Yeah. For Joe Ryan in particular, you had to think, he was bummed not to be named to the All-Star game initially. I wonder if it's even sweeter when you feel like your dream is dashed, and then a couple of days later you find out, you're an injury replacement. Pack your bags. That has to be a really nice feeling for him.
Yeah, it was funny because we were talking to him. I pinch hit for the whole Cubs series, so we talked to him. I think it was Wednesday. Maybe it was Thursday. Day's not important. But we talked to him pregame, and he admitted that he had kind of just come to peace with the fact that it's just another year where he felt he was deserving and it just wasn't going to happen. And he said he took the mindset of, instead of being frustrated and angry, well, if I don't like the result, I have to play even better. And he kind of sat with that for a while. And then, lo and behold, Pete Mackey calls him in to Rocco Baldelli's office to give the announcement to him. And you could tell it meant a lot to him. I think the All-Star game across sports has kind of lost its luster. It hasn't in baseball. And I think these guys really strive for that still. And it's a feather in their cap. And I know Joe Ryan, it meant a lot to him. Just talking to media before the game this week, you could see the smile on his face, and he's really excited to get to go. So happy for a guy like that. It's certainly well-deserved.
100% well-deserved, and he'll be joined by teammate Byron Buxton, who is also going to compete, at least initially reported, he'll compete in the Home Run Derby, but now dealing with a bit of an injury. What do we know about his status tonight, and as far as the All-Star game goes, do you know anything?
Yeah, we talked to Rocco Baldelli yesterday, and the update was basically there's no real update. He didn't play yesterday, but the x-rays came back negative. All the imaging looked good. I think Byron suffered a similar ailment about a month ago where he got hit on the hand, hit by a pitch, left the game, missed a couple of games, and then was back. So if this is the same, and I don't know for a fact that it is, you would hope that he's ready for the Home Run Derby Monday and the All-Star Game Tuesday. I don't know about his availability tonight, but I saw him walking around the clubhouse yesterday. He did a live hit on MLB Network. I don't think he does that if he's going to be out for a while. Right. So just reading the tea leaves, I think the Twins avoided something too serious with their best player. But I really hope for Byron Buxton's sake, he gets to compete in the Home Run Derby. He gets to compete at the All-Star Game. It's about 2.5 hours from where he grew up in Atlanta or in Georgia. I know he's really looking forward to that. So it would be a bummer if this kept him out of that. But fingers crossed that it won't.
You mentioned reading the tea leaves. I know this is not your regular beat, but just give me your impression. You got 2 All-Stars heading down to Georgia. What do you think the odds are that both of those guys are on the Twins once the trade deadline passes?
See, it's hard because I'm just parachuting in and out.
Right, I know.
I would think you probably that will be kind of dictated by how they perform over the next 2.5, 3 weeks. Like if the Twins just go in the tank heading into the All-Star break and coming out of the All-Star break, then I think there's probably logic would suggest you probably want to get something for these guys whose value might never be higher. But I think back to when I used to cover the Wild, the guys would always say around trade deadline, it's on us to force Bill Guerin's hand and make sure he doesn't break up this team. So I think it's on the Twins if they want to for sure keep Byron Buxton in the clubhouse, Bill Ryan in the clubhouse, just win some games. They're only 3 games below 500. I think 4 back in the wild card now. So I think the front office will give them a chance to go chase down a wild card spot, but they have to force that hand here over the next few weeks before the trade deadline rolls around.
We're chatting with Dane Mizutani, whose regular beats the Vikings at TwinCities.com, the Pioneer Press, and you've got a couple weeks. It's so dead. And just think, 15 days from now, your life is going to revolve around Eagan, Minnesota for the next few weeks. What has you thinking about what's kind of again, it's off season, you're not grinding, but what are you thinking about as you head to training camp in a couple weeks? What are you most excited to watch this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the easy answer. I'm excited to watch J.J. McCarthy again.
Yeah.
We remember how he looked through last summer and obviously the preseason game against the Raiders and how fantastic he looked, and then how the wind immediately kind of got taken out of everybody's sails when you learn that he tore his meniscus. But watching him this spring, it was more of a continuation of the growth that I saw last summer. I thought there would be some rust. I thought maybe he'd have to relearn a lot of these things. But he really looked like he picked up right where he left off and looked the part, at least to me, in shorts and T-shirts and a helmet, the part of a franchise quarterback throughout this spring. So now we ramp that up in the summer. It's less of a teaching and it's less of a learning phase, more competitive on both sides of the ball. How does J.J. McCarthy respond? How does he respond with fans in the building? How does he respond with every pass he throws getting filmed by people in the stands and immediately posted on social media? Like, I'm curious how he kind of leans into this moment now, which is, because of everything that happened last year, now the biggest moment of his career. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see him. I'm also excited for joint practices against the New England Patriots. I think those always just add another layer to training camp. It can kind of feel like dog days there a week or two in. And then now bringing in some new blood, I think it's fun for the players, fun for the coaches, and fun for even the reporters watching. So McCarthy is the A topic and probably will be every single day out there. But I'm sure some things will pop up here and there that'll keep us pretty busy.
Yeah, it's so interesting, the situation McCarthy finds himself in. One of the great classic cliche talkers every summer is, what NFL player is under the most pressure? And you can go Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, the obvious quarterbacks that haven't quite gotten to the top of the mountain. But I've heard J.J. McCarthy's name thrown into that mix this year because of the situation, because he's taken over a 14-win team. Teams don't usually move on from their quarterback after 14-win seasons and turn it over to a guy who's never started before. And so the opportunity that McCarthy has in front of him is almost unprecedented. And I wonder if, in your mind, it's pressure on him. Is it more pressure on the coaching staff and the front office that turn the keys over to him? What level of pressure, in light of all the circumstances around the roster and how strong it is, do you think McCarthy is under this year?
Yeah, I think a ton of pressure. We asked him about this back in the spring, and he gave the good answer: the more pressure, the better. And some guys just kind of puff their chest out when they're at the podium and say that. But he said it with this earnestness about him that I believe it. This kid has won everywhere he's gone. And I believe that he probably feels when the pressure gets dialed up, he performs at his best. But he's going to need to perform at his best this year because you're right. They let Sam Darnold walk out the door after winning 14 games. Obviously, it didn't end the way people wanted to last season with the debacle in Detroit and then everything that happened in the playoff game against the Rams. But Sam Darnold balled out last year, made himself a lot of money, and most situations would suggest a guy wins 14 games and would be your guy moving forward. So, yeah, you're right. This is a little unprecedented that they're now handing the keys to J.J. McCarthy, who's effectively a rookie. And I know that he'll be in year 2 of his career, but he hasn't taken a snap outside of preseason. So there's a ton of pressure because all the moves that the Vikings made this offseason were indicative of a team not that's just trying to compete and win some games, that it's a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl. They spent over $300 million in the aggregate on big free agent ticket names, bringing guys back. I mean, you have Will Fries in at guard. You have Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. You pay a lot of money to get Byron Murphy Jr. back. Aaron Jones is back. You traded for Jordan Mason. I could keep going. Like, all of that, you don't make those moves and just say, well, I hope we can go 500 and sneak into the playoffs. This team expects to be competing at a high level with the best teams in the NFL. And J.J. McCarthy will either make that come true or have it be kind of a disappointing year. Everything kind of falls on his shoulders. I know the Vikings set it up so he wouldn't have to feel the weight of the world on his shoulders because there's so much talent on the team. But at the end of the day, he's the quarterback of the team, and the Vikings will go as he does a lot of the times this year. So, ton of pressure. I'm curious to see how he responds to it, but I do think he's built for something like this.
Despite all the additions, as you said, the big question around the quarterback position is the reason that the Las Vegas odds on the win total for your Vikings are at 8.5, which seems low. I would have, Green Bay's 9.5. I probably would have thought that's where the Vikes would be. I know this is just something for gamblers and fans, but is that something that you ever hear whispered around the locker room, or does it ever asked of some of the players like, yeah, Vegas has you at 8.5 wins off a 14-win season? Is that locker room material up on the whiteboard? Is that something you guys ever throw out at the guys and see what kind of answer you get from them?
I'm sure it'll get thrown out at training camp, and most guys will give the politically correct answer of, well, we don't think about anything outside of these locker room doors or these walls, at the practice facility. But if you get the right guy, and there are a few on the team who will talk.
Who are you going to first? Who's going to give you the best answer there, do you think?
I think Justin Jefferson, because he's just so honest at the podium sometimes. And I don't think it's because Justin Jefferson is this cocky individual, in the mold of the typical diva wide receiver. He's not. He's couldn't be further from that. Just look at the way the contract negotiations went last year. He's not someone who is always going to call attention to himself, but he's supremely competent. And I think if we were to ask Justin Jefferson, hey, Vegas has you at 8 wins, he probably would, either scoff at it or give a little smirk and say, you'll see. I think whether these guys admit it or not, they are privy to the expectations nationally. They probably won't say that, very often openly, publicly. But I think they also do thrive off of that. Nobody is expecting a ton out of us this year. It is kind of funny, though, because it's a double, it's twofold. There are a ton of expectations on this team, I think, from certain individuals and certain outlets, and even from a national perspective, because of they won 14 games, they're super talented. But in the same vein, they are projected for 8.5 wins, or the over-under is 8.5 wins in Vegas. So it is kind of an odd conversation because I think some people think a lot of Vikings this year and some people don't. I think they'll lean into the people that doubt them and try to use that as fuel to the fire.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, last one for Dane Mizutani on this Friday Football East on the Fan. As you sit here today, what to you is, forget about the quarterback position, what is the most concerning spot on the roster? Where are you most worried about whether this team has the right answer that could spell doom if it doesn't work out?
I think probably cornerback, and that's no disrespect to Byron Murphy Jr. I think he has leveled up in his career, and he's earned the contract that he got this year. But outside of him, it's a lot of unproven guys. It's Isaiah Rodgers, who I know they love. I know Brian Flores kind of circled Isaiah Rodgers on this grocery list and said, let's go get him. And then Kwesi Adofo-Mensah did go get him. So they love Isaiah Rodgers, but he's unproven. Mekhi Blackman, he's coming back from the torn ACL, was supposed to get a lot of reps last year, played not at all last year. So he's unproven. You have Jeff Okudah, like another reclamation project that you see it all the time. First round picks in the NFL pretty much have a long leash because people always think, well, I can get the best out of them. Can they? I don't know. Jeff Okudah is unproven. So, it's a long list of guys. And, maybe they will end up doing something like last season where it got late in the summer and it was pretty clear that the room was a little thin and they went out and signed Stephon Gilmore. Maybe there is someone else like that out there come mid-August. But right now it's just a lot of unproven guys in the secondary outside of Byron Murphy Jr. Your safety room, I think they're going to help you. I think obviously Harrison Smith being back is huge. Josh Metellus, Theo Jackson is a guy who's started to kind of rise up the ranks. They even like Jay Ward, kind of a Swiss Army knife guy. But I think cornerback is pretty thin. And I think in the NFL, this modern day NFL, which has become a passing league, if you have even one cornerback that is just a sieve out there, it can spell doom for not only a game, but a large chunk of the season. So that's a group that's going to need to prove itself. I think the Vikings are content to let that group kind of play itself out. And then, like I said, if it becomes clear in mid-August that, oh boy, we need some help, I think they'll go get some help. So that's the one I'll keep my eye on, outside of, obviously, J.J. McCarthy and how he looks.
Yeah, for sure. I think Asante Samuel is still unsigned, right? Is he waiting for the right opportunity? Yep. That's the name that, Jalen Ramsey, Jair, those were big names that you would have to give something up for. But Asante Samuel sitting out there that may be looking for just that situation, a team that doesn't feel quite comfortable or as comfortable as they thought they would about a month from now. Dane, great stuff. Appreciate your time on this Friday. Nice job filling in on the Twins beat. Hope you get back to Wrigley soon, and we'll follow your stuff once training camp opens in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Dane Mizutani, read his stuff at twincities.com, or the old-fashioned way, just pick up the Pioneer Press. Top of the hour pause, then we welcome back a beloved figure when it comes to the Friday football feast. Charch joins us next on The Fan.
This Prime Day, July 8th through the 11th, you can get a great deal on a new foot spa, transforming you into the queen of kicking it.
Wait, this has bubble jets. Okay.
Shop great deals this Prime Day, July 8th through the 11th.
Every day has a to-do list, but adding Enjoy Belvita to yours can help you knock out the rest of it. Belvita breakfast biscuits are a tasty and convenient breakfast option when paired with low-fat yogurt and fruit that provide steady energy all morning. While Belvita Energy Snack Bites give you the perfect mid-morning refuel. Best part, they both taste great. So make the most out of your morning with a bite of Belvita. Pick up a pack of Belvita at your local store today.
Every business has an ambition. PayPal Open is the platform designed to help you grow into yours. With business loans so you can expand and access to hundreds of millions of PayPal customers worldwide. And your customers can pay all the ways they want with PayPal, Venmo, Pay Later, and all major cards, so you can focus on scaling up. When it's time to get growing, there's one platform for all business. PayPal Open. Grow today at PayPalOpen.com. Loans subject to approval in available locations.
Welcome to the W, where elite athletes are redefining the game of basketball. From buzzer-beating shots, jaw-dropping defense, and logo threes, the WNBA delivers nonstop action and world-class talent every game. These athletes don't just play the game, they elevate it. The biggest stars, the brightest stage. AT&T WNBA All-Star 2025 comes to Indianapolis July 18th through 19th. Tune into the game July 19th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC.